Justice of Nigeria recently swore in 12 judges for the National Industrial Court of Nigeria. This episode of Law Weekly, amongst other things, looks at the likely impact of more judges on the judicial system. The chairman of the Lagos branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Taiwo, will join me shortly on the program to discuss what obtains in Lagos. But first, let's do a quick recap of some of the top stories from the courts. I'm Shola Soyele, and this is Law Weekly on Channels Television. We begin with the report of the lawmaker standing trial for allegedly sponsoring the activities of the Boko Haram sect. Senator Ali Ndume has asked the Court of Appeal to overturn the ruling of Justice Gabriel Kolawole, who admitted in evidence certain call logs from some GSM providers. The call logs allegedly indicate that the lawmaker had telephone conversation with one of the Boko Haram commanders, Ali Kondoga. The senator wants the appeal court to invalidate the admitted evidence on the ground that the judge erred in law by admitting the evidence which the senator has described as radical and fundamental. The senator also wants the appeal court to stay his trial pending the determination of the application seeking to invalidate the evidence. The court has ordered parties to exchange documents, file their written briefs, and fixed October 2nd for adoption of same. At the Federal High Court in Abuja, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mohammed Adoke Bello, has filed a 10 billion naira suit against former lawmaker Dino Melaye, who is the leader of a non-governmental organization, Anti-Corruption Network. In the suit filed by an 11-man legal team of senior advocates, the Attorney General contends that Mr. Melaye and his group damaged his reputation by accusing him of corrupt practices, obstruction of justice and abuse of office. Mr. Melaye had accused the Justice Minister, among other things, of complicity in the cases of former Oceanic Bank boss Mrs. Cecilia Ibro, the Halliburton scandal case, and with aid in the return of the Vaswani brothers to Nigeria after they allegedly evaded tax of about 2.5 billion naira. Mr. Adoke Bello wants the court to make an order of perpetual injunction restraining Mr. Melaye and his group from further casting aspersions on his reputation, as well as damages of 10 billion naira. From Abuja, we move to Lokoja in Kogi State, where the Federal High Court has restrained the Inspector General of Police, IGP, from arresting a member of the Kogi State House of Assembly, Honorable Friday Sonny. The House of Representatives had recently passed a resolution compelling the IG to arrest and prosecute the lawmaker over allegations of murder, thuggery, and the illegal setup of a security outfit. The House was acting on a petition written by the former Minister of Interior, Mr. Humphrey Abba, against the lawmaker who represents Igala Mela Odolu constituency in Kogi State. The minister had told the House that Honorable Friday Sonny had been declared wanted by the police some time back, and he wondered why the man was still allowed to walk the street as a free man. The lawmaker had, however, rushed to court to obtain the ex parte application, restraining the police from arresting him after the House had asked the IG to arrest him and cause him to appear before its Ethics and Public Petitions Committee to answer to the allegations. From Lokoja to Lagos, where the Federal High Court has reserved ruling for July 8, in an application filed by former Managing Director of the defunct Spring Bank, Charles Ojo, who is challenging his trial before the court. Mr. Ojo is charged by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, alongside the former Managing Director of Bank PHB, Mr. Francis Atuche, on a 45-count charge of alleged 125 billion naira fraud. Justice Rita Ophelia Jubogobia fixed the date for ruling after listening to the submissions of the prosecution and the defense counsel. In the charge, the accused persons were alleged to have granted fraudulent credit facilities, manipulated shares, and committed general banking fraud to the tune of over 125 billion naira. It attracts a penalty of 5 years imprisonment without option of fine, but the former Spring Bank boss has argued that the charges do not link him to the offense. And we round off with the case of Fred Ajudwa, which has lingered since his arraignment in 2003. Justice Olubumi Oyewole of the Lagos High Court Ikeja has ordered that the fraud suspect Fred Ajudwa must face his trial. Ajudwa and one Charles Ore are charged with allegedly defrauding two Dutch businessmen of $1.69 million between July 1999 and September 2000. Fred Ajudwa is also accused of impersonating the Auditor General of Nigeria, Issa Audu. He was granted bail by the court in 2006 and jumped bail shortly after. He has since failed to turn up in court for his arrest, citing medical ailment. The court had issued a bench warrant for his arrest and has now made an order for him to appear in court to face his trial on the 11th of June after his counsel confirmed that he was back in the country.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to ChannelsTVcom to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard. ChannelsTV.com. The news at your fingertips.
The main courtroom of the Supreme Court was filled to capacity as lawyers, friends and associates of 12 new judges converged on the court to witness a swearing-in ceremony by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. One after the other, the judges were sworn in by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mrs. Aloma Mukhtar.
I, Lefu Peter Odo, do solemnly swear.
With the swearing-in over, Justice Mukhtar read the Riot Act to the judges on the need to be punctual for court proceedings.
Let me add here that you are expected to jealously guard against disobedience of any court order, in line with your oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You must not shy away from taking a firm position against a member of the public or even the bar that colludes to flout court orders, as same is an affront on the collective integrity of the bench as well as the integrity of the particular judge involved.
Some of the new judges promised to leave by the oath of office by dispensing justice without fear or favor.
It's a court that is meant to dispense justice speedily to avoid rancor. That's what's going to be done.
We expect every judge to be on his or her his toes at this from the speech we heard of the CJ. So with God helping us, this is a new assignment for us as new judges. But with God helping us, we are equal to the task.
We're going to come out to deliver justice in accordance with the law of this land, without fear, intimidation, or favor. And Nigeria is going to be better for it.
The swearing-in of the 12 new judges was based on the approval of President Goodluck Jonathan, and it is expected that the delay in dispensation of justice will soon be a thing of the past.
Welcome back. That was a recap of the proceedings from last week Wednesday when the National Industrial Court got 12 new judges. Now Lagos will also be swearing in new judges on Tuesday the 28th of May. But has there been a corresponding increase in the dispensation of justice? Do the judges have the necessary infrastructure to work with? And where they don't, what exactly do they need? These and other questions we put to the chairman of the Lagos branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Taiwo, who gives a perspective of the bar on the activities of the bench. It's May 29 in a few days' time. How would you assess the judiciary in the last 2 years, especially under President Goodluck Jonathan?
Well, I would say that it's been a turbulent year for the judiciary in terms of so many issues that have been thrown up in the country. You talk of election petition, you talk of the issue of Boko Haram, election petition, crisis in the Niger Delta, crisis in in all sectors, especially the issue of oil subsidy, and so many other issues that needed judicial interpretation.
How would you assess how well they've performed?
Well, I would say by and large the judiciary has performed very well, because we should not take it from the fact that the judiciary is just an arm of the government. And out of all the three arms of the government of this country, is the most mild, at least in terms of the fact that of what they do. And the other point is that you have to know that the judiciary, like people say, is the last hope of the common man, and every Tom, Dick and Harry goes to it for redress in one way or the other. And there's pressure on the judiciary. But I want to say with all sense of that the judiciary has performed at least well, better than any other arm of government that we have in this country.
Now, during the past week, the CJN swore in 12 new judges for the National Industrial Court. Also, Lagos, Oyo, and some other states have announced the appointment of new judges to add to the existing ones in their states. Lagos, we understand, would have a total of 56 judges, but what has been the effect of this high number of judges on the justice system?
The point is this, most judges are overwhelmed, especially in Lagos State. Lagos State is different from any other state because in Lagos State, a judge of the High Court has almost 1,000 files on a table. And cases are being filed every day in Lagos on sundry issues. So you see, the point is, so as to lessen the pressure on the judges that are on the bench, there is need to appoint more judges. And I can tell you, I'm sure that Lagos State still needs more judges than they have now, than they have more than 56. They need more judges in terms of the number of cases that there are to be settled among parties in Lagos State. And then you see the issue of the arbitration of criminal justice in Lagos is very, very, not only criminal, civil justice system is unique because this is the center of excellence. This is the center of judicial activism. And this is where most practitioners look up to. That's the judiciary. To go to greater lengths. I'm not saying that other jurisdictions don't have cases. Well, when you talk of a place like Port Harcourt, yes. Abuja, yes. But Lagos, it is. When you talk of Lagos High Court and, of course, the Federal High Court, and you know that the Federal High Court presence in Lagos is higher than any other state in the Federation. So that shows you the unique position of Lagos State in the administration of justice system.
As a leader of the bar, I want you to do an assessment for us of the quality, talking about quality of the judges now in Lagos State especially. Do they sit promptly, and what has been the feedback from your members as regards the quality of the judges in Lagos? Well,
the feedback from our members is that we try a sort of self-assessment. We send people out. Some judges don't sit 9 on the dot, no doubt about that. Some live too far away from their courts. Some live in Ajah, and the court is in Ikeja. So before they get to Ikeja, it's most times they may not get there on time. But that is not to say that though some people live in Ajah, and they get to the court promptly, in Ikeja promptly, and they sit promptly on the dot of 9. But you see, at times you cannot even predict the traffic situation. You can't predict the human nature. Sickness may start overnight. Anything may happen overnight to the extent that you may not be able to communicate with the lawyers that, oh, I won't be able to sit. But by and large, apart from pockets of just one or two or three that, well, we can excuse from not sitting on time due to certain factors, some best known to them. I want to say that the Lagos State Judiciary for now, they are really trying. The judges, let's forget the fact that they are overwhelmed. The workload is too much. They have to write rulings, they have to write judgments, and some of them have to attend to some other things outside their being a judge. Some have to travel abroad for seminars, travel to Abuja for seminars, do a lot of things. We can give it to them that we can give them a pass mark, really, and especially under the leadership of the Chief Judge of Lagos State now, Honorable Justice Ayotunde Phillips. Things are really moving, and judges are up to their duties. And of course, the fear of the CGN is the beginning of wisdom, with the way the Honorable Justice of the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, is trying to sanitize the judiciary with from a pronouncement and everything. Of course, judges are also human, so they have to feel it. I must be up to task. I must be up to my work and everything. So, by and large, things are changing for the best, and we hope it stays that way.
Now, it's interesting that you've mentioned the CGN, because one development that's becoming worrisome to some people is that lawyers now write petitions against judges. Instead of filing appeals against decision of these judges, they write letters to the NJC, write petitions. What do you make of this development?
You see, as far as I'm concerned, it's very worrisome. To me, apart from seeing element of bias, seeing in quotes, because it's an abstract, in seeing an element of bias, I don't think any lawyer should write a petition against the judgment or ruling of a court. Yes, there may be some situations where you may need to do that. But then, that is why we have the appellate courts, you have the Court of Appeal, you have the Supreme Court, where you can ventilate your disagreement or grievances against a judge as per a ruling or his judgments. So I personally find it very worrisome that people should resort to petition writing instead of going through the legal process to seek redress and to, because when a judge starts getting rulings or judgment thrown out from the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, that leaves more to be desired of that judge. So I think that is the position our colleagues should take. I think lawyers should desist from writing petitions, especially on frivolities, especially on things that has to do with the law. If you have any grievance as it has to do with the law, please go ahead and go to the Court of Appeal. That is not to say if you have anything to do against a judge as per corruption and you can prove it conclusively, that does not mean that you cannot report by way of petition to the NJC or whichever body you want to address your petition to. But we should give our judges this benefit of doubt. They are overwhelmed. Yes, nobody is above mistake in rulings and judgments. Like I said, that is why we have our hierarchy of courts. And of course, lawyers too must know that in a case, there must be a winner, there must be a loser. We must not lose sight of that. Most people think that, oh yes, I have a very good case. But in some cases, your case may be very bad. You may not have seen what others have seen or what the other party have seen. So you can't just blame a judge that, oh, the ruling is rubbish, the judgment is rubbish. Don't do that. You must look into the law. Go through the judicial process if you have to attack a judge, not by petition writing.
Now, do the judges in Lagos have the necessary infrastructure to work with? Because I've been to some courts in Lagos where the judges still write in longhand. They take proceedings down manually as opposed to electronically. But what is the general situation with infrastructure of the judges in Lagos?
That is a very, very worrisome thing. They don't. Honestly, they don't. Because I want a situation whereby the judge will just sit down. There are 2 or 3 stenographers. It happens in Lagos State in some courts, but not in all the courts. You understand?
Find some writing
you see some find some writing in long hands, and you know how tedious it could be if you had to write pages and pages and pages. And you know we lawyers can talk. There's even with the issue of front loading, lawyers still want to talk. They want to argue on every yes. So you have to note this. You have to know this. And I want to say that yes, the government of Lagos State is trying, but they can still do more to assuage the feelings of these judges by providing putting in place infrastructure to lessen the burden on them, you know.
What kind of infrastructure is needed?
Well, I would think that, well, they have, I'm not sure that some of them have the best libraries. They don't. Yes, there are lots of law reports on iPads given to the judges. Yes, but how about other materials? Books?
To assist in
to assist in their research. Books from England, books from America. Well-stocked library. Not the general library. Well-stocked library for individual judges. You understand? These are issues that should be done, of course. Well, they have judicial assistants who will help them in, but then they have to do some training for these judicial assistants, and then they have to retrain judges in the use of all these electronic devices, which is already happening in Lagos. It's already happening in Lagos. They train them. In fact, the chief judge of Lagos State is IT compliant. She is one judge that I know when she sits on her iPad, she can do a lot of things. Of course, don't forget the fact that, like we have in the country, power failure. It affects courts. Some courts don't sit because there's no light, especially some courts that are built without access to light, you know. So these are issues that has to be looked at to make sure that things are properly brought in place.
The CJN recently threatened to sack or discipline judges who fail to write 3 or 4 judgments in a year. Now, do you think that this can be achieved without curbing some of the excesses of lawyers who put various hurdles in the way of achieving a speedy dispensation of justice?
Yes, I believe sincerely that we lawyers are the ones causing the delay. I'm not saying that some judges are not culpable. Some judges are culpable because they may not sit on time, they give log and judgment to cases, they don't, there are so many other issues. But I can tell you that if a lawyer wants to frustrate a case, he can do it. And then when a judge gives judgment against the lawyer due to tardiness or due to his inability to go ahead with the case, he will now start by filing appeal. denial of fair hearing. That's what you keep hearing all over the place. But thank God the Supreme Court have held in a plethora of cases that if opportunities are given to you as a litigant and you fail, you cannot come under that to say you are denied fair hearing. So a lot has to be told our colleagues that we should help the judicial system from from prolonging cases. We have a lot to do. If you want to help a judge, we can. We can. If once you file your claim, your defense, anyway reply to the defense, what are you waiting for? Go to trial.
And it's on that note we round off this week's edition of the program. Thank you for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can watch again by logging into YouTube/ChannelsTV. I am Shola Soyele. See you next week.